Okay, we're good.
Hi, everyone. I am Lorianne. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. And this is how we see it. Now, we always try to have interesting, unique visitors with us and unusual visitors. And today we have one for sure. His name is Lance Ridgway. He's from Waxahachie, Texas, about 25 miles from where I live. Uh, I met Lance through an organization we both belong to. And when I was talking to him, kind of getting to know him, I asked him what he did for a living, and he told me he was a cobbler. I knew what that was, but I know now that a lot of people have no clue what that is. You mentioned that term, and they're blank. They don't know. So what I would like to do is give Lance a chance to tell us what a cobbler is, Lance. Go ahead.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Hey, I'm Lance. Basically, it's fixing of boots and shoes. Whenever the heels of a boot or a shoe, women's and men's, wears out, we can replace the heel. If you wear holes through the soles, we can re-sole them. Anything between like a leather sole, rubber soles for like work boots, and even like a soft, like it's called crepe, but it's like a soft squishy rubber. More of like a kind of like a cushiony kind of step. We do all of it. And then we can also, like, if you rip your shoes and boots, like I got a couple work boots that I probably need to go get fixed. But I've ripped them or whatever, and so we have to stitch them back together so that your toes don't fall out. But yeah, we take shoes that are, I mean, even my shoes and customer shoes, like take them to where most people would think that they're trash. Just go ahead and buy a new pair, and we'll make them almost better than new.
Well,
And I would imagine there's some people, sorry, I just have to say that they fall in love with a certain shoe. So it's very hard for them to see them go. Like cowgirl boots would be one thing, because I have a couple of pairs that need to be fixed now, and they're sitting in my closet. But I don't get rid of them because they mean a lot to me. I know it sounds weird, but they do, right?
Oh yeah. And then a lot of times too, like, you buy a pair of boots or shoes, and you break them in, like the leather and everything. They're broke in. They feel good. They're a good pair of shoes, but all of a sudden you step in a water puddle and your foot gets wet. Well, everything from the sole up stays the same. It's all still broke in. The leather's still nice and soft, and bends where it's supposed to bend. Don't pinch anything. But we'll take the sole off, put a new sole on, and your feet won't get wet no more.
So Lance, let me ask you. Like here in Texas, most places like where you were talking about, we call boot repair places. That's if you're looking to get your shoe fixed, you find a boot repair place. So I mean, that's here in Texas. That's pretty much what they are. So let me ask you, what made you decide to become a cobbler?
Honestly, it wasn't my first choice. I had moved to Waco to go to school because I wanted to do like computer graphics or like special effects and stuff like that, whether it was with movies or video games. That's what I was really interested in. And I was getting ready to go to school, that was my plan anyways. I never even went and like signed up or anything, but then I had a family emergency, so I came back to Waxahachie, and I was looking for a job, and a friend of mine who I'd known since I was a child, he owns the shoe repair shop here in Waxahachie, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a job, and the person that I replaced actually was a friend of mine too, but he was going on to become a mechanic, and so I jumped in. I basically became an apprentice, and I kind of learned the trade, did little things here and there, a lot of sweeping the shop at first and watching, and then eventually I developed a skill for it. I've been doing it for like 11 or 12 years now, but it was definitely not my first choice of what I was going to do. But now that I've been doing it so long, I mean, I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else really.
Well, for people that are not that don't work with their hands, okay. So if you're a craft person, or like I am as well as you, I served a 4-year apprenticeship. I went to school 2 nights a week and I worked 40 hours every day for 4 years. And then I had to take a 4-year test on what I learned in school, and I had to also take a test in the city of Dallas to get licensed. So, people that aren't familiar with what all is involved in the trades, they don't realize, what you have to go through to become the journeyman or the master in that skill. And like you said, you swept up the shop when you first started. I was filling up water barrels and hauling material and cleaning up trash when I first started. So yeah, and it's a long journey, but once you get there, and that's why if you have somebody working at your house, like a plumber or a carpenter or electrician, they go in there and they make it look really easy because they do it every day, and they've been trained on it. I couldn't go in there and do what you do, I don't think, but it's pretty interesting. So
I mean, it
go ahead.
I mean, it definitely takes, I mean, I still don't quite know everything there is to know about it. I know enough. I know enough to do my job, but there's a few things that another guy that I work with, he does. We kind of have it split up to where I do part of the work and he does part of the work. Now we can pretty much do each other's work, but it just kind of splits it up, makes it simpler to the day, kind of like an assembly line that we have going on. But yeah, when I first started, like I said, I was sweeping the floors and just kind of watching the other guys work and everything. And then slowly but surely I got to take things apart, and then I'd get like another thing where I would actually start shining boots and shoes. And then to the point to where like I am now, where I'm doing, over half the work on the actual repair. But it was a very slow process to where I was doing, grunt work at first basically. And now I'm pretty good at the craft.
Yeah. That's pretty typical in the trade business. Yeah.
I went to visit my parents today, and it was funny because I was telling them, I said, this is really neat. We're going to be interviewing a cobbler. Of course, my parents know because my great uncle was a cobbler, and apparently our Scottish history goes back to being a cobbler for noblemen. So it's a really very interesting trade that a lot of people don't understand the value of it, because all they think about is, well, it's just, fixing shoes. It's not, it's more than that.
Yeah. And a lot of things, another downside to it is me being able to like basically dissect boots and shoes. I can kind of see like how things are done and how things are made, and certain companies kind of like slack on certain things, and you can kind of tell that as I guess the times progress, and things are more streamlined and like assembly process, like you go and buy a pair of Justin boots, which are good boots, but they're not as nicely made as say like Anderson Beans or some other companies that I know of. But after we get done with them, it's like basically a custom pair of boots, where that's where you're going to get the nicer, more effort put into the boot making rather than some of these mass-produced boots. And that is the other downside to it is, boots are being made so quickly and easily now that, some people don't really want to put the effort into getting them fixed, but then you do have nice pairs of boots and shoes where like, yeah, it's totally worth it. Like, you're going to do it. And the way we do it is it's going to be better than it was before. Because we use like high-end, very good materials when we're reselling boots and shoes. We don't just use cheap stuff.
So could you, if somebody came to you and said, hey, I want you to make me a pair of boots like this, are you skilled enough yet where you can do that?
Making, no, not so much, just because we never really have like gone into that, because all the lasses is what basically it's a mold of a foot. It's called a lass. We don't have any of those really. Now the people I work for, they know how to, but just having a shop full of lasses to make boots and shoes, it takes up a whole lot of space, because you got to have, a lass for every single size there is, from the smallest size to the biggest size. And then you even have to have the lasses for people with narrow feet and wide feet. And so you end up having like boxes and boxes and boxes of lasts, and it also takes about twice the amount of time because you basically got to like mold and wrap the leather around that last, and then you got to let it basically dry. So, and like take the shape of it so it'll hold, and then you can start making the boot and shoe. But we don't actually do that.
Okay.
I would imagine that would be premium. It would cost a fair amount of money, because I do know I have some women who have unusual sized feet, and they have a really hard time finding shoes. And it would be lovely to find a place where, I know they're going to be willing to pay the extra cost to get a nice looking shoe, because the ones that are for size 12 are usually not so pretty. Not usually very pretty. Yeah. Not to be mean, but it's true.
Well, it's like my wife has wide feet, so she buys like tennis shoes and stuff, men's shoes, because they fit her better than women. So I mean, and I think that's kind of a common problem.
We can stretch shoes too. We do that all the time as well.
Oh, really? So
yeah, give you a little bit more.
I know you said you also do some leather work outside of shoe repair.
Yes. After, doing shoe repair for as long as I'd done, I started kind of like getting curious about other things you could do with leather, like making belts and bags. And I do a lot of Renaissance festivals. So I'll make like leather armor and like outfits and stuff for it. I don't really have anything handy to show, but I've made quite a few things. And just through the process of learning how to do shoe repair, I kind of learned the like different ways to like, I guess, manipulate leather and work with it to where I can make it work the way I want it to. I've done different carvings on different pieces, different kinds of stitching to add like an extra like bit of detail to it. And that's just kind of what I do like on the side as like a hobby. And I just really enjoy it. I can just go into my garage, which I've kind of set up like a little shop, and I'll just work for hours. There's been times where my wife has been like, "Hey, you ever gonna come back?" And I'm like, "Oh, let me just finish up this project. And then, I'll be out there for hours just messing with stuff.
So do you do a lot of stuff for the people at Scarborough Fair?
Yeah, I haven't made anything for anybody other than myself. I made like a little belt pouch for my daughter, and I think that's pretty much all I've made as far as like people goes, is me and my daughter. My wife wants to get some stuff made, and as soon as she figures out what she wants to do, I can make something according. But I mean, I pretty much follow like a Viking theme, like a Nordic Viking theme. So that's where all my stuff kind of goes towards. With her, I don't know what she really wants to go with, so I don't want to make her anything that she not use it. But yeah, it's really enjoyable just to kind of make and do stuff. And I've gotten lots of compliments at fair for all the stuff that I've made.
Lorianne, do y'all have Renaissance fairs in Canada?
I would imagine we do. I haven't been to one, but we do have fairs. I've got is your dog making a noise? Because my dog is, I think, hearing your dog.
Yeah.
That's okay.
She was whining outside, so my daughter brought her in my room, and now she's whining to get back out, but I don't want to get up and go let her out.
She's never come up here before. Okay, Bing Bing, down.
Well, every year in the spring here, and matter of fact, it's in Waxahachie, they have what's called Scarborough Fair. It's a Renaissance fair that lasts about 5 or 6 weeks. All the costumes and all that stuff. And
wow.
They do it every year. And and it's right there, not too far from where Lance lives. So that's why I was asking.
Mm-hmm. It lasts for 2 months. Unfortunately, it was closed this year, so like we didn't get to go. It was a real bummer. I was super pumped. I was getting ready on like a brand new, I guess costume. We call it garb, is what it's called. But I was working on a brand new one for this year, different from the one I wore last year. And then all the COVID-19 stuff hit, and they started closing things. And so I just stopped working on it and kind of just did my own thing. I was like, I have a whole year to work on it now, so I don't got to like crunch it all in, and I'll able to like actually draw it all out and get my plans all down and, customize everything the way I want it. Because I even ordered a new pair of boots just for this particular outfit that I'm wearing. But I'm going to like make them my own, like tweak them and do some cool things to it. I just haven't done anything with them.
So do you have a website that actually allows people to possibly put in special orders or that some of the things that you might sell that you've made? Or do you just do this for yourself?
I just do it for myself. Now my wife and I have talked about doing stuff because she is I don't want to say seamstress because she sews, but she doesn't like right now she's making a whole bunch of masks to sell to people in need of masks for what's going on with going on right now. And like she makes some masks and then she donates masks for every mask that she sold. But she's helped me make like different shirts, and she's helped me like fix some pants that I've worn holes in. But so we've thought about like collaborating and doing different things. We just really haven't done anything. So far it's just hobbies for us.
I highly recommend it though, because it is so different. It's a niche market that a lot of us are looking for those niche markets. We sit there and we go, oh, I'm a coach. Like there's a bazillion coaches out there. There's not a bazillion of people who are doing what you're doing out there. By the way, I love your beagle. I have one too. That's
oh, really? Yeah, she's our newest dog. I have her and I have a chocolate lab.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, Lance was talking about his wife and her mask. I know we spoke a couple of months ago about it, and she was doing masks, and there was a business down there that was really hurting for them, wasn't it? That your wife was making them for and donating to. Was there a business down there somewhere?
She's donated to a few hospitals.
Yeah.
She donated to a few other things, and then a sister of a friend of mine. She's a nurse, but she volunteered to go help out at some hospitals in New York. And so she sent a bunch of masks to New York to this basically a friend. Her sister's my friend too. So a friend up in New York that was, donating her time. So we donated masks to her. And she's made quite a few masks where she'll make a couple hundred in a week. And then she's like, I'm done. I'm taking a break. And so she'll take a couple weeks off, won't make any more masks. And then she's like, all right, I guess I'm getting low. I guess I better, get to it and start making more masks again. I'm like, all right, whatever, and we'll go and buy more stuff. But I don't know how things are in Canada, but down here, all the craft stores and everything, like it's pretty slim pickings on some of the materials that you use.
Yeah, my mother is, she taught me how to sew. So I've sewn my whole life. I've done clothing for my ex-husband, my children and stuff. But my mother is more into it right now. I've been into other things. But I even went to visit her and she handed me 5 masks. That's what she does. It's her new love. Although she does all sorts of things. She crochets, she makes booties for her grandchildren. For us too, she made little booties into, adult sized. It was really cute. But we are, people, we're not really on a shortage of it. But I think that what people are looking for is something that makes them feel comfortable, because the masks are really difficult to put on. I even have like a kind of almost claustrophobia when I put them on, and the minute I can get them off, it's off. The other thing too is the disposable ones. I wish more people would purchase ones that are reusable and washable, because we're finding them all over the place. They're being littered all over our streets. In my lake over here, I saw one the other day, and I think people should really invest in reusable ones. It's like plastic waste. Don't do it.
Yeah,
but you're right.
This, she has a little, every time she sells a mask, she has like a little disclaimer, machine wash on like cold water, hang dry. We have so many masks laying around the house, and we don't use the paper ones because it's a waste. You wear it once and then what? I have, like 5 or 6 that I wear out through the week because, at work I get dirty and they get gross. So I don't want to keep wearing them. The gym I go to that requires a mask when you're there, like, it's kind of a weird rule as far as the gym goes, because like I can go there, wear my mask, but while I'm working out, I can take my mask off. But then if I like move to a different machine, I got to put it back on. So I just have it to where it hangs around my neck. But by the time I'm done with it, it's gross, So I'm not going to wear it the next day. So yeah, I have like 5 or 6, reusable masks, because, it's a lot better than just like, oh, this one's done, throw it away and you're done with it. And it's really cool because, she gets all kinds of different like fabrics. And so you can have, more of like get one that's more your style rather than like the traditional like white and blue ones that you throw away that everybody looks the same. I have one that has the Martyr's map from Harry Potter. It's got that on it, and I, because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so it's really cool. And then she makes other ones with different, she's made like comic book ones. She's made Disney ones. Now she's just gotten the stuff to like to iron on different images, and so she'll like put little different images that she finds online on it, and pretty much anything that anybody wants. That's what she does, and then she just kind of goes with it.
I'm going to ask a very strange question, and I do apologize. I don't want to be insult or anything, but you have a very nice large beard. Like I have friends who have that. I know that is something that is very fashionable, but I would think it's more difficult for a mask, or is it not? Just my question. I'm curious.
Lance?
I'm here. Hold on.
Did he freeze up?
I can hear you. I can see you moving.
But Lance froze up, it looks like.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's just give it a couple of seconds. I was just wondering, and people out there may answer. He may come back. Just sorry for the interruption. People are listening.
Oh.
Yeah, so we've lost Lance for a couple of minutes. I'm sure that he will come back. But very interesting. It's not something that you find a lot of millennials doing, is doing shoe repair and being a cobbler. I'm really impressed with that. So.
Yeah. But I was surprised at the number of people that had no idea what that was.
I know.
There you are. You're back.
Back again. Okay. We're all good. We were chatting in between that. So yes, I was just going to ask: is it more difficult for a mask with a beard? Or is it, can there be some that are made that are specific for people who have those?
So I have one that I had her specifically made me that it goes all the way around the back of my head to where like I can literally just pull it up and go down. And then I also wear ones that she's made that you typically see them for like when you go out fishing or working outside. They're like, they go all the way around your neck and it's like a sleeve. Mm-hmm. I wear a lot of those. Really the only problem with masks and big beard is when you're going up and down, like with my beard, it goes up in my face. So I basically like, I put it on, but then have to like pull it and then. Okay. Okay. So Lance, one of the questions I wanted to ask you for someone that might be considering being a cobbler or doing leather work, what is involved in the equipment? I mean, so what's it going to cost for somebody to get started and to go with this? As far as being a cobbler, I honestly don't know because I haven't had to really buy any of the tools or the machines. I know we have a bunch of like industrial sanders. We have some big stitching machines and then all the supplies that we get. But I don't have anything really invested in that. But as far as like my leather working goes, I just go to different leather suppliers. I prefer Tandy Leather. I don't know if there's other places. I watch a guy from Canada actually. He's on YouTube called Dark Horse Workshop, and there's a leather provider up there. I just can't remember the name off the top of my head, and that's where I get all of my big giant pieces of like hides of leather, and those go anywhere from like, I don't know, $50 and up, depending on how big and what kind of quality leather you have, like the thickness, the malleability of it, just different things. And then as far as tools go, I mean, tools you can get anywhere from, a couple bucks at Hobby Lobby, or you can start getting into like the really like nice intricate tools, and you're going to be spending a lot more money, but they'll be better quality. They'll last longer. I probably have a good couple $100 as far as like my own personal leather tools at my little shop, as far as like swivel knives, leather stamps and punches, and then as far as like cutting leather, I just use a razor blade. I just have like a Husky like razor blade, and I just cut big hunks out of the hide, and then I use my other like uh, all my other little tools to make all the like the fine details on it. Like I have a thing called a beveler, where when you cut the leather, obviously you're going to make pretty much a 90-degree angle on the leather. In order to like round it off, it's called a beveler, and it basically just cuts that little edge off and adjusts that edge so you have more of a rounded, nice, cleaner edge rather than the sharp edge. And it like works for like knives and like the edges of like the when you have like a bag, the opening of it, I like would bevel that so it's like a nice little smoother edge to it. But yeah, as far as getting started in leather working, I mean, you can get started for, you know, 50, 60 bucks as far as the tools go. And then you're going to spend even more than that buying leather, like good quality leather that you want to last. Because nothing against Hobby Lobby, but most of their stuff is super thin. And I mean, it'll last. It's still leather, but I wouldn't do anything like really active with it. I like with the stuff that I make with the leather that I get from Tandy, like I would legitimately go to like battle with it. Like it's that thick, it's that good. I mean, it takes a lot, like it takes a lot getting used to like your hands because you're using your hands the whole time. And so like there'll be times where I'll be tooling a piece of leather and like I'll have to take a break from doing that because my hands start to hurt. But with the softer, less thick leathers, I mean, you can go through that and it's no problem, but they tear easy. And if you tear a piece of leather, you really can't go back from that. I've worked with a little bit of wood, and there's been things where like I'll chip a piece of wood off, where you can just kind of throw some sawdust in it, and makes it kind of look new, and then it just sits there and everything's fine. But leather, if you rip it, you're gonna have stitches going through it, and if you like that rugged look, it's cool. Like I have pieces where like there's a rip in it, so I just stick some cross stitches in it real quick, and it looks like I've been in battle and I just repaired it real quick. But that's kind of the look I'm going for. But if there's a piece that like, say down the road, somebody wanted to pay me to make them a nice belt, I wouldn't put that out because it would, you know, it just wouldn't look good. And I'd rather, if I'm making something for somebody and they're going to be paying me for it, I want it to be a good quality product. So it all depends as far as like when you're starting out, you know, don't invest a whole lot of money into it because, you know, you might not like it, you might not enjoy it, and you don't want to have a whole bunch going in. But the more and more I've learned and stuff like that, I've realized that the better quality you get, the better outcome you'll have.
Now, I was going to say that too, because I worked in the automotive industry and I actually owned my own auto repair shop. And I know that all of my techs, they had to purchase all of this. So you're not in a trade where you had to purchase your equipment. But one thing that they always said, though, is what you're saying is don't go cheap. Because if you're going to be in this trade, you're going to be in it for the rest of your life. You want something that's going to last you, that's got quality. So you can buy a pair of like pliers, I'm just saying, for cheap, or you can get one that's going to last you forever. And, you know, there's different companies that you look at, and you don't want to go to Walmart to get your tools. You want to go to something that has a name that's based for, you know, auto tech. And so that's, you know, very interesting. But I didn't realize in your particular industry, you apprenticed, but you did not need to purchase the equipment at that point.
Well, the people I work for, he's either a third or fourth generation shoe repairman. So he's got literally years and years of tools. Now, I guess if there was something I saw online, like a cool hammer that I really liked, I could buy the hammer. But I personally like the hammer I use at work, and it was already there. So I'm going to keep on using it. But as far as like, so I have like a rubber mallet here at home. I have a rubber mallet. I have a leather mallet, and I bought a nicer version of them because they're my personal tools. I'm going to use them a lot. You know, I have regular like framing hammers, but the tools I use, they're metal, and I don't want to hit it with another metal hammer because that's how you damage them. So I use either a rubber or leather mallet, and then it kind of does what it's supposed to do. But yeah, I have a few tools that I've gotten from Hobby Lobby when I first started, and they're good tools, but I've since like upgraded and gotten better ones. Like my first swivel knife was from Hobby Lobby, and it served its purpose. It kind of gave me an introductory on like how to carve leather. But I quickly bought a new one, a better one from Tandy with a couple different blades because they have like a straight blade and they have an angled blade. And depending on what you're doing is what it like would use, the blade you would use. The one I got from Hobby Lobby was just a straight regular blade. It was a pain trying to learn. It was a massive learning curve. But then I researched and I found different reasons for different blades. And so now I have like, I think 5 different kinds of blades, and I switch them out interchangeably, and I can like go through what I need to do, and it's become a lot better like process.
Well, I agree 100% on your tools, because they're going to last you forever. So buy the best tools you can buy. I started in 1971, and I've still got tools from when I was a first-year apprentice.
Oh, wow.
I still have them. They're still good. They still work. So I'm a firm believer, in buying good equipment, because you're using it every day.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So, and I remember when I was an apprentice, a journeyman told me, he goes, son, don't ever sell your tools, because no matter if you leave this trade, if you have your tools, you can always come back. He said, you have a skill, and nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I recently just bought a whole bunch of woodworking tools too, because I want to start doing woodworking stuff. One of the things that I really want to make is I want to make a shield. And so that, and just, I also want to make, my son like a bed and a toy box and stuff like that. And my uncle, he's a carpenter by trade as well. And so like I have kind of an introductory into like different things with that, as far as that goes. And as far as like woodworking tools, I don't know anything about it. I know my dad used DeWalt all the time, so I've become partial to DeWalt. I'm really hoping it's a good company. They seem to be good. So I have like a ton of DeWalt tools in my garage right now, and then a few rigid, because DeWalt didn't make what I was looking for as far as the tool goes. So I'm just hoping that power tools kind of like transfers over as like regular tools, but I know they have motors, and motors eventually give out.
Well, I know if y'all haven't ever seen Lance's Facebook page, he's got an awesome little boy. And so he's on the videos a lot. And so I figure another maybe 4 or 5 years, we'll see a video of Lance and his son with a little shield and a sword. They'll be in there in the living room, going after it.
I'm hoping. I actually, right before he was born, I made a little wooden shield and sword for him. He was obviously really little and couldn't use it. The sword broke when I was sanding it and carving it and trying to make it, look like a cool sword, but still not hurt him. So I got to remake his sword, and then his shield just sits on my workbench until he's old enough to use it, and I'll give it to him. But no, that's my goal, is to like, be a little play fighting with him, and then with my daughter too. She's really into the Renaissance and stuff. She likes to go as a wood elf, so not so much as like weapons and fighting. Even though I'm trying to convince her to like be a shield maiden, which is basically the female version of like a Viking warrior. She's not going for it right now. But yeah, I'm hoping Oliver, my son, I'm hoping he follows after me and wants to be a Viking too. But whatever he chooses,
you never know with daughters. They can turn around and at first go, no, I don't think that's cool, and all of a sudden one day go, you know what? That's really cool. Let's do it. But never know. We were just talking to Roy when we left you for a little bit, that it would be lovely to see a Facebook page with what you do. We would love to see that, and then bring your wife back on with you with a Zoom that's going to be primarily not as a podcast, but as somebody that people can see on YouTube. And if you can demonstrate what you do, we'd love to have you back on with that.
Definitely. Let me. I have to talk to her. She's a little camera shy, and then I'd like to have a little bit more to like offer as far as like what I have and what I've done before. I'm kind of like, hey, this is what I do. Right now it's kind of like all personal. I do a lot of things that, like I said, I do a lot of Viking Nordic stuff, but I primarily do a lot of wolves, because now I don't know how much truth is in this, but my son's middle name is Lyle, which kind of translates loosely way down the line into wolf, and there's a story behind all that. But so I make a lot of knot work and stuff that like is a wolf, because I love my son and I want to kind of have like a piece of him on everything I do, and so I do a lot of wolves. And so like I'm sure not everybody wants wool. Somebody wants like a bear or an eagle or something like that. And so right now I don't really know how to do any of those stuff because I haven't tried them yet. But it's all just a bunch of lines, and eventually it makes a picture. So as soon as I can get more stuff that I've done and make it look all semi-professional, I would love to. I'd love to be back on and showcase more stuff that I've done and talk. I guess the progress I've made as far as like where I'm at now as like a leather worker, and then however many months down the road it is that you want to do this again. I would love to.
I have one last question, Lance. You mentioned a while ago about stitching.
Mm-hmm.
What do you use for the threads, so to speak?
It's just a wax coated thread or
Okay,
artificial
like
sinew.
wax string?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or there's a stuff called artificial sinew, and if I'm not mistaken, sinew is like the tendons of some animal. I don't know. I think it's like a deer or something. But that's a little bit harder to come by, a little bit more expensive. So I just use it's an artificial sinew, which kind of looks the same, has the same effect. So I use those two. Just with the wax thread, I can get it in black, brown, and white, and it kind of like I can, depending on what colors I want to incorporate into my piece, I can use those color. I think sinew only comes in one color. Yeah. And I don't want to dye it because
I assumed it was some kind of wax string, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's wax.
That was just, I'm trying to confirm it. Did you have anything else, Lorianne?
No, I think this has just been fun, and it's nice to see that you can go from a trade that you're always going to be able to have, but also transfer it because you've learned to use your hands and transfer that to something else that's going to give you likely some new opportunities down the road, not to just do one thing. I think that's important. But yet at the same time, it's still, what did we hear the other day? It's still in alignment with what you do.
Yeah. And like my wife and I, we just love, working with our hands and doing crafts and stuff. And one craft leads into another craft. And then we end up doing all kinds of crafts because, like I said, she sews. She dabbled in either knitting or crocheting. I don't know. Like she made me a Gryffindor scarf, which I love. Don't get to wear it very often in Texas, but I have a nice handmade scarf that's Gryffindor colors. She's made some like little beanie hats. She's made some pillows. She's also been doing embroidery lately. I don't know if you can see the dream catcher behind me. She made that.
I was going to ask, was that made by someone? My daughter loves those. She gave me one as a gift that I have here too.
But she made that, and then I do my leather work. I was going to start trying to do leather or metal work, but then you need to have a forge and an anvil, and I'm like, I got enough woodworking and leather tools. Metalworking will just have to wait. But I want to start making different furniture and stuff for our house. For my son and daughter, I want to make them toy boxes and beds and whatnot like that. Different belts and bags and whatnot for them to do things with. So me and her are just very crafty, and we love just working with our hands.
That's awesome. It's terrific to have met you, Lance. Seriously, I was really looking forward to this, but I even have more of a big opening on this because I realize that you're not just doing your trade, but you're doing so much more than that. So that's really wonderful. It's nice to see that transition. But do me a favor. Don't do too many things at once. It's good that you're putting one thing aside and focusing because trust me, when I was younger, I started to do so many things that I lost my way. And I try to tell my children that too, who are your age, by the way. And I just say, just make sure that, you're doing perfect. You're aligning what you want to do with exactly your hand skill sets and your skill sets with leather. And I think that's fantastic. So it's wonderful to hear about that. Really exciting. Thank you for being here.
No problem. I enjoyed it. I've actually been looking forward to it all week.
Thanks a lot, Lance. Really do appreciate you coming on. I mean, we've had, Lori and I have been so excited about this, and we've been telling people about it, and there's people who can't wait to see this and hear this. So, and I'm going to go ahead and put it up on our page too as well. It's because all the guys know you, so we'll put it in there too. So
awesome. Sounds good to me.
I think probably within next day or so, Lori, I'll have it up.
Yeah, it might be even today, but it just depends because I do have to edit this. We do.
I honestly have no idea.
For the listeners out there, there was a little bit of like a cutout. So if I didn't do this perfectly, I'm sorry, but I've done my best.
That was
And
my
that
bad. I
gal,
have no
okay?
idea what was going on with it.
It's no big. It's technology. It happens.
It
Nothing we
does.
can do about it. So, but thanks again, Lance. And then we'll get the information once it goes up on YouTube. We'll let you know, and then Lorianne let me know when the podcast gets downloaded, so you can listen to it as well and tell all your friends, all that. You know how it goes. So,
Yep.
Thank you, Lance. Appreciate it, Lorianne. Good.
Thank you. I look forward to the next one.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'll take it easy.